right, back in the library studio. I'm your host, Jim Beebe with Athlete Builder. I have Lucas, my teammate, right next to me. Another first for us. Normally, it's just Lucas and I interviewing someone else or diagnosing a book. This time, it's more of a panel discussion. As you know, the premise of the show with being Athlete Builder, we're trying to help build athletes, get them better in all components, all ways. So what we have on today is we have five D1 athletes, all at the same school. They all play football. They all play linebacker. And we're going to pick their brains and see what knowledge they have, what nuggets they have to pass on, see their insights so that anyone that listens to the show, if they're thinking about going to college or if they're in college and they are going through the same struggles, here's some other ideas. Here's some other tips. So we have Cole and Joey, Jack, Clayton, and Jack. And so first, guys, thank you for being on the show. A little bit of background. They're from all different walks of life here. So just starting with I would say most senior, with Clayton. Clayton's linebacker leader, he wrote down. TC1, I'm not sure what that is. And 22, he's all-conference leadership award and co-MVP. Seventh in the conference in tackles. And 23 got hurt in the first game against Kentucky. He's a bio major, pre-med, and what he wrote down that he's kind of at the crossroads right now. He's either looking at the NFL or one more year of eligibility, which I just learned a few minutes ago, or potentially medical school. Clayton's also married. Moving on to Cole Pierce. Cole's graduating. He only has a few weeks left. He was second on the team in tackles with 45 solos and 33 assists, 3 sacks, 1 pick. 23, he was a starter, team captain. He's working on his MBA. He was 16th in the conference overall in tackles, and he's not sure where he's going next, but pretty soon we're going to be finding out. We have Jack Beebe, a sophomore, 9 tackles, 9 solos, 6 assists. And 23 is a 4-unit starter on special teams. And there's 4 different components for special teams. He was a starter on all those. He was played a little bit of linebacker throughout the season. Degree's going to be in business analytics and his MBA. Then we have Jack Wiegold, also a sophomore, 4 assists and tackles, working on his business degree and MBA. And new to me, a late entry, lucky to have Joseph Joey Stemler, sports administration guy, sophomore, also 18 tackles, played a little bit more linebacker, and also special teams. That's the basic bio or background for our 5 guys. Thank you for being on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Thank you.
So the first question, and we'll start with Clayton. What was the first oh shit moment? I mean, I'm actually playing D1 football, and there's bigger, stronger, faster people coming at me. Oh man, this is really gonna count. This is something different.
Yeah, I would say mine definitely happened all in my first game. I early enrolled as a freshman, so I got to be around the team a lot in January heading into that fall camp, and I got into a position to where I knew I was going to be able to play special teams in my first game. We played IU at Lucas Oil that year, so it was a big game as is. IU doesn't like to come to Ball State, so we played at Lucas Oil that year. And opening kickoff, I was on kickoff return. I was supposed to work on a double team, and one of our running backs kind of whiffed his part of the double team, so I just got stuck unexpectedly and took on a dude and just got put straight on my back. Kind of got up. It was a fair catch anyways, so it didn't matter. Kind of got up, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
That's how
I got
it is.
hit. Let's play football. Yeah.
All right. Hurt more than you thought, about the same, or, that wasn't that big of a deal?
Honestly, I was probably so amped up in that moment that I had no idea. I probably came off the field, and it took me a minute to realize what really just happened.
Were you taking pre-workout like Jimmy Daw or anything like that?
Oof. I'm a straight caffeine guy. I'll stay away from all the extra. I'll straight caffeine pregame.
Gotcha. How about you, Joey Stemler? First time thinking, oh shit, man, this is different than what I'm seeing.
Yeah, mine's very similar to Clayton. It was last year when we played Tennessee. Opening kickoff, I was in kick return, same thing. Went to go back for a double team, and right when I turned around, he was just right on top of me, and he just came and just absolutely lit me up. And I went straight on my butt and kind of rolled back, and I was like, man, whoa, this is college football right here.
Right.
And I mean, it hurt a little bit on the tailbone, but I got back up and it kind of, I was like, all right, let's go. Like, it was that first hit, and after that, I was good to go.
How about you, Jack or Jack?
Yeah. Mine was the first day of camp freshman year, being a camp start walk on. You don't really know what to expect. I came in, I couldn't practice the first day because I didn't have my papers in or whatever. Most guys can't that started school, but I just remember I was in Brandon Martin's line and we were doing some warm up and I didn't finish through the line and he just ripped me a new one. And like granted, like that was right after the MAC chip. He's the reigning defensive player of the year, and I just had no idea what I was getting myself into. I felt like at that point, but I got ripped a new one by a player, which I've never had that happen to me, being coming straight from high school. But obviously, that's my welcome to college football moment.
The other Jack, what do you have to say?
Mine was kind of similar to Jack. My oh shit to college football didn't come during a game. It was more in a practice. I was on a scout team, linebacker for my freshman year. Was battling with a herniated disc through all of it, so wasn't able to move all that well. And one of our older veteran offensive linemen worked out to me on an outside zone and drove me back, passed the whistle, buried me, laid on top of me, let me know about it. So I would say just the pure strength of that and personal that individual guy was just my oh shit moment to college football.
That leaves Cole, my guy from Ohio, along with Joey.
Yeah, I was after hearing your guys' story, I'm kind of blessed. I never really had any crazy story on KOR getting put on my butt or getting driven down by an offensive lineman or anything. I feel like for me, it was kind of just overwhelmed with the schedule and like with how much we had to do every single day, the responsibility we had, and like all the meetings and stuff we had to be to. But my first game I played in my college career was against a conference opponent, so that probably helped a little bit. I was definitely really nervous and whatnot, but I didn't really get hit hard or anything. It wasn't anything crazy. But so I never really. My first game wasn't against a Power Five opponent, which looking back on it now kind of helped with that. So I have no really particular moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this is college football. It was kind of just multiple different things happening to me that kind of over time I kind of just realized like what I'm getting into.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any favorite team moments you guys have had over the years? Anybody? You want to get one?
Oof, favorite team moment would probably be MAC championship locker room. That was
Right.
pretty electric. That was my sophomore
Yeah.
year.
I would agree
That'd
with
be
that.
amazing.
Just winning so much that year. It was just a great culture. Obviously, when you win a lot, everyone's really happy. Everything's great. So that was definitely a good experience throughout that entire year.
Were you guys there when Peyton showed up with Dave Letterman?
Yeah.
You guys were there for
Yes.
that too?
Yeah, what year was that?
That was right
He did-
around
he did-
the year you guys won, I think.
Yeah, he did Peyton's Places or Peyton's
Right.
Place, whatever he called it. Yeah. That would have. Yeah, that would have been right around the MAC championship.
And then was it Brandon Martin that had like bleach blonde hair?
I think he dyed it going
Yes,
into
one
camp.
year.
So he's standing in that pond with the frogs.
Yeah.
The opening scene of that episode. He's standing there
Yeah.
and Peyton's walking by with Dave Letterman, and then there's a kid in the full uniform just standing there in the water, like in the fall, like cold. And I'm like, what's going on? There's two episodes on Peyton's Places that were hysterical. That one was absolutely super funny, and then one with Marshawn Lynch. So that's cool you guys saw that. How about a favorite away game venue? All I remember from Tennessee is first down Vols, and they're screaming through the sound system.
Yeah, I would say as a as a kid that grew up a college football fan, Tennessee was awesome. Just to witness it and just to see SEC country in person. But my favorite really is probably NC State my freshman year because it was a close game. We were coming back in the fourth. We got an onside kick. It was a night game. It was like their first night game in years. So it was pretty crazy. I played mostly just third downs as a freshman. So when it was third down, it was a different atmosphere in there. And their student section was right behind the defensive side of the bench. So favorite game atmosphere would definitely be NC State my freshman year.
That's pretty cool. Anybody else?
I think you gotta include Georgia Southern in there. A lot of guys talk about that. Like even though it's not your Power 5 school, I mean they had that place rocking. There wasn't huge stands, but I mean they sold out. Student section was like completely filled, all right behind us. And they all showed out. I think it was like business attire was the theme for that game, so they all showed up in their suits and ties and such. And
Dang.
the atmosphere down there was fantastic for sure.
That makes it fun. How was the scenery? If you guys can even, was it when you guys were at Wyoming? Isn't that stadium like in the middle of the mountains?
Yeah,
God, that'd be awesome.
it's supposed to be like the highest stadium in college football, I think.
Oh, altitude wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like 7,000 feet above sea level, something like that.
When it all begins in the year, you guys start in camp, and each year camp is different for each person in a different way, right? What is, if you could say, what's one or two of the hardest components of camp, either surviving and getting through or thriving at a higher level? How about you, Joey?
Okay, there you go.
Or Jack, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
We'll give Joey some time.
I would say I like the everyday, the competitive nature of every single practice. Like you're never getting a day off where it's like an easy day or it's like you're not at someone else's throat. Like every day, no matter if it's just like a helmet practice, you're still trying to compete. Full pads, like that's the most you'll be in full pads all year. So I'd say like the competitive nature of every practice, like you gotta come with it or you're gonna be embarrassed and ultimately pay for it on the depth chart, I'd say. But I would say like the competitive nature every day is probably what most people aren't super aware of in ball camp.
Yeah. I would have to say, I think for me mentally, or with me, the mental side, especially like the playbook, because you install everything, you do one thing one day and you just keep building more and more. So if you fall behind, let's say day 1 or day 2, when you get to day 7, day 8, and it's, it gets really hard trying to remember all these calls, trying to remember all the checks, especially playing a linebacker position too. You get to know what the D line is doing, what the safeties are doing, you get to know what everybody's doing. And it can be very, very hard if you don't understand it and don't stay on top of it.
Is there a way to prepare going into camp on that component?
I would say yes. I mean, obviously understanding the basics of, the playbook, and, over time, as you get older, you obviously learn it better and comprehend it better. But, I think just teaching yourself to slow down and not trying to do everything so fast and worry about it, worry about messing up or making a mistake, and just slowing down your mind just to process one thing at a time.
If you're making a read, right or wrong, is it better just to make your read and not second guess and play slow? Just make your read and go slow and then apply as fast as you can on average.
Fast is always better.
Fast is always better, right? Even if you're wrong, right?
Do something wrong. Yeah, if you're going to do something wrong, you better do it fast.
Right. So you can adjust. Anybody else, any thoughts on camp? What about the heat alone? Your weight going up and down. Like you read these stories about the poor linemen, like Joe Thomas talks about how you lose 13 pounds in a day and he'd be taking IV sometimes during camp.
Yeah, no, that's definitely real. That's definitely real. Some days are definitely worse than others. We had a couple of night practices here and there, so obviously those aren't as bad. But yeah, on a normal day, at least for me, you're talking about losing at least 6 to 7 pounds. Some days if it's humid, which I think one day was, we all talked about it later in the year, but we had one day that wasn't a padded practice. We were just in shells and helmets, but it ended up being the most humid day that we had all the entire camp. And a lot of guys lost close to 11, 12 pounds. So it's tough in that aspect for sure. And then you're expected to be eating the same thing. We go to the same dining hall for all of our meals. So you're also tired of eating the same stuff over and over and over again. But your body needs that. That's also a battle in and of itself, is just being able to refuel and get ready for another practice the next day. And coach is expecting you to be at the same level, if not better, than you were yesterday. So that's a whole lot of things go into it.
Anybody just wheel in their own mini cooler with their own supplies?
That's a good idea.
Is that bad?
I think definitely guys probably have their certain snack foods that they like to go home to.
Sure.
Because camp's unique in the fact of, like, at that point it just truly comes down to calories in versus calories out, and how much can you get in. Because, I mean, there's times where, you lose 7-8 pounds of water weight,
right.
But then at the same time, you're burning 4,000 plus calories a day because it's a 16 plus hour day with the practice in the middle of it. And you're just literally,
the
there's a cookie over there.
Full tilt.
It turns into 1 cookie, 2 cookies, 3 cookies.
Right.
And then Cole go gets his cheesecake.
Cheesecake, North Dining.
Well, having worked very modestly in the strongman world and talking to some of those athletes, some of them are on, like the amateurs like me, a 4,000 calorie day year round is pretty standard. And it's with a much lower metabolism than you guys, since we're so much older. And some of the pros like Brian Shaw, 12 to 13 is very standard. So when I see some of them out, they would have their own little mini coolers on wheels. They're going to their kids. Like one guy's out of Mooresville or Martinsville, and his kids are playing basketball, and he's walking into the basketball court with his little cooler, right? Or Jessica, who trained out of my gym, she always had a little cooler on wheels traveling around, because if the answer is calories in, calories out, like Clayton said, and a lot of it is very true, well, you got to be feeding the machine all the time. That's got to be just another annoying little pain in the ass. Dang. If you have us say, hey, this is my favorite thing about football, what would that be, Cole?
100% winning. I think winning is just the best part of the game. I think that would be the best part of, like, any sport, really. I don't know. I always think about every time we win, all the work that you put into it, not just the week of preparation for the game, but the off season, and all the workouts you did and everything that led you up to that point of when you win that game. So, no doubt, win.
Is the opposite also true? The worst thing's losing?
Yeah. Yes.
I see 4 or 5. All heads are shaking. Yes, the worst thing is just absolute losing, right?
Yep.
Would you rather win? I'll ask Jack Beebe this. Would you rather win a MAC championship or a bowl game?
MAC chip.
Is that right?
Not even close.
Not even close. Okay.
It's a culmination of 8 games.
Right.
The bowl game. It takes 6 to get there, but at the end of the day, it's just one game. MAC chips, that's what everyone seems to want, I'd say. That's all.
The other Jack, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about football?
Favorite thing about football, I'd say, is the camaraderie and relationships that you build throughout the time playing the game. Relationships that I built here are going to last a lifetime. I have no doubt in my mind about that. So very just grateful day in, day out. There's things, obviously winning and losing is everything, but there's things to be taken from one of our coaches said, like, there's not every day is not a good day, but there's good in every day. So every season is not great, but there's good in every season. The good in the season that we just had is the relationships that we built with one another, for sure. Thing that is the toughest would say probably just the mental piece. And there's a lot that goes into that. That could be, I'm not getting the playing time I want. I'm thinking less of myself, or if in Clayton's situation, like, I got injured, like, this sucks. Like, how am I going to deal with not being able to play the sport that I've trained for my entire life, the sport that I've poured so much into. So there's a lot of mental things that can really weigh down on you with the game. But you got to take that, day in, day out, try to raise above those and realize that the sport's giving you more good than it is bad.
Gotcha. Any other thoughts on that? But your favorite parts, whether it's the locker room or winning, or least favorite would be the mental strain or losing. Anybody else different thoughts on that, or that's pretty much covers it?
I think it covers it.
Yeah. Who's one of the funnier guys in the locker room?
There's so many.
There's some characters.
Yeah.
We got some serious characters. There's all different kinds of people in there.
It depends on the type of humor you have.
What's something funny that they've said or done that's like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened? And you don't need to say their names, or we'll just say it was Coach New that did it. How about that? No, probably not say that. You all know better.
There
were a couple guys that
someone might have taken someone's soap or something, or whatever, and then someone takes the freaking we have an ice machine in our locker room for ice tubs. Someone gets the trash can, fills it up, and then someone's in the stall. Just takes the trash can, just dumps it on someone.
To dump all the ice over the stall while he's taking a shit in the trash can. Oh my goodness! So they got to clean that up, right?
That's happened a few times. Yeah, someone.
Is Joey one of the funnier guys in the locker room?
He's too busy taking his protein and creatine.
Getting his amino acids in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I try to be, but sometimes I'm there and I'm locked in. If that's how you want to describe it.
Who flips a switch where they're the nicest, quietest person, then on the field and it's like, holy shit, that dude's an animal.
Quietest?
Or who has a big dichotomy in their personality? Two different split personalities.
Damon, maybe. I don't know.
I could definitely
Damon
see
would be
Damon
good.
Kaler.
Damon, that's a great one, BB.
That's a good one.
Offensive line
Probably
for
Damon,
sure.
honestly. Damon's.
We just lost Jack. What's Damon all about, Cole?
He's just so independent. He doesn't really say much. I mean, he'll talk to his offensive linemen, the rest of them, but he really just doesn't say much. Walks around and a great guy, but doesn't really say much. And I mean, he's a damn good offensive lineman. So he definitely flips the switch once he gets on the football field.
Gotcha. It's like Jack's having.
I'd say you got to put
problems.
Coop in there for sure.
That's what I was thinking.
Coop isn't. He's one of the funnier guys in our locker room for sure. Marquez Cooper.
Coop is definitely hilarious, and then when he turns that switch on, he's on.
He is on.
You see me?
It's everything, almost everything that you could talk about. It could be a joke. Besides, when it comes to football and winning, when you talk about that, it's business to him. So I'd say he has with Damon, one of the better or more defiant switches on our team.
If you could beat one team in conference, who'd that be?
Miami.
They're out of conference.
Oh yeah, they can see it. Well, I mean,
in conference. Well, yeah, they're in the one team.
They're another division.
MAC, yeah.
They're in the East.
Yeah, but they're in. I meant in the MAC.
Across the whole entire MAC, 100% Miami.
Yeah.
Mine's Toledo.
I was going to say, as a Ball State person, people would probably frown upon this, but mine's Toledo.
Yeah, mine's Toledo.
Mine's considered one of the main rivalry games, right? Toledo's not.
Yeah.
So why Toledo?
Toledo's different to me personally because I feel like we've lost some really close games to them. Had them on the ropes in 22 when they won the MAC championship. It was 21-21 going into fourth. Lost 28-21. This past year, it was 6-6.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth and then finished 13-6. And it's the West. You never want to lose a trophy game to Miami, but they're in the East. So those games are towards the end of the season, and those Toledo games these last few years have been some daggers for us just because it can really, really hurt your West chances because they are always one of the teams that are top of the West.
Gotcha. Some things you guys mentioned on their questionnaire about things you wish you knew better going when you were in high school. And this wasn't one of the questions. And Clayton, don't answer because I have a different one for you. All right. But at some point, you went from, hey, I like to watch football. Pee Wee football's fun. Middle school football's fun. High school football's fun, and this is going okay. Hey, I could be actually pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at this. Or you know what? I could probably play in college. Or you know what? When did you know that you could play at the D1 level in college? Because at some point there's a transition, right? Very few just when they're 5 years old say, hey, I'm playing D1 football. How'd that happen for some of you guys?
Mine honestly wouldn't be until like my third or fourth year of college, honestly. Obviously being a walk-on, you're behind the ropes and a lot of different things. I didn't actually play. I mean, I played on special teams, I think 2 games my sophomore year. My third year, I started playing, I think I started on 3 or 4 units, but didn't get like significant snaps until like my fourth year. And like those special team snaps, they were cool and everything, but I don't know, I didn't really get that confidence and know I could play at the Division I level until honestly once I got in on some defensive snaps and started making some plays. But that's me personally. Obviously, some people, I just never really made any really good play on special teams. I was kind of just there. But obviously, everyone's different. Some people are really good special teams players, but I kind of really wasn't. So I didn't really have the confidence to know I could play at the Division I level until I got some meaningful snaps on defense and made some plays there. So
once you had some more confidence, Cole, how did that impact your habits going forward?
honestly,
your beliefs and moves your decisions, and your decisions make your body move forward. So then it impacts your habits, right? So go ahead.
right. Yeah. I mean, they definitely, I would say I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out on some of my habits, like leading up to that time when I got my chance at playing some significant snaps on defense. But now that I think about it, like after that experience, after gaining that confidence that I knew I could do this, I knew I could be successful at this position, at this level. Um, it kind of just gave me that confidence to either commit all to it, make those sacrifices if you want to continue to get better, or the other side, keep doing what you're doing, and who knows what's going to happen. So I think it was kind of just a reflection after that, just kind of thinking about what led me to this and what I can do better from after that experience. So to answer your question, yeah, it definitely led me to be more committed into my habits and look for more to give me that opportunity to become a better football player.
Gotcha. Someone else other than Clayton. When was the mindset shift that you could play at that level?
I think for me was maybe, I would say last year, kind of opposite of Cole, was I kind of got into special teams my second year. And I know it's special teams, and it's, it's not, you have 1 or 2 assignments. It's not like a whole defensive game plan, this and that. But it was just more of me of, I can, like on kickoff, for example, I can just run down, I can go make a tackle, or, if I can make a tackle on kickoff, then I can definitely do it in a game. If I have that confidence of running down and just, shooting my shot, why can't I just do it on defense? And so each game I felt like, I was getting better and better and just more confident in myself of just, hey, if I see the gap in kickoff, let me just go shoot it and, see what happens. And, and after a while, like I said, I started gaining that confidence, and then it led to, on kick return and punt team as well, just doing my job. And if I can do my job on this, let's go do my job on defense too. How much more different and harder can it actually be?
Gotcha. Either of the Jacks got an answer? Maybe we're not there yet.
For me, I would say week 2 versus Georgia. I was getting some scrap time at the end of the game, which like you feel a certain way about it. It's just like, yeah, I'm not the guy, obviously, so I'm not playing the entire game. No one really wants to be in there for scrap time just because you're getting your butt kicked or whatever the case may be. But it did spur a little bit of confidence after that because I did make a play on a jet, took a good angle, shot my shot, made the play. So just like little moments like that, I guess, for me, just like the confidence that you kind of need. Just to be like, oh, I can do it against a team like Georgia, even though it's their second, third string guys. These guys are probably 5 stars coming out of high school, ranked really highly, good athletes. Kind of just makes you feel like you belong, gives you that self of confidence that maybe you might previously not have. Not getting a whole lot of tick, so I'd say that for sure.
Gotcha. Last one, Jack Beebe.
But I'd say for me, probably this year against Western and Indiana State, just those 2 weeks. I don't think they were back to back, but I think they were separated by 2 weeks. Just getting snaps, so like not scrap minutes during those games on defense, gave me a lot of confidence. Although I didn't play great in the Western game, I did play like I'd say pretty good in the Indiana State game. So I think just those 2 games combined, just being out there with the first team guys, just gives yourself confidence to know that you belong out there, and it's no different than anything else you've ever done before. So,
Gotcha. Now, with Clayton in your questionnaire here, you said you were looking at either medical school, which is unbelievably painful, and a long road to hoe. And then you said you're considering the NFL, which, a different way, unbelievably painful and a long road to hoe, but probably shorter, right? But at some point, you had to come to the realization or thought, you know what, I could play D1 and I could play in the NFL. And if you didn't think that, you wouldn't be considering that option. So at what point you're thinking, you know what, I could play in the league and I might have a shot there and I'll shoot my shot and see. I'm not saying you made that decision to do that yet, because even you said you're at the crossroads with 3 different options: return to college, going to medical school, going to the NFL. But in all 3 of those, you got to believe you can handle all 3. So when did you think, hey, I could actually play in the league?
I guess my career started off, being fairly recruited out of high school. When I first kind of got that first offer, things started rolling. I was like, oh my, this is a dream come true. This is really what I wanted to do. And you get to college, and I played my freshman year, and I had opportunities to play, but I knew I wasn't elite yet. I knew I wasn't anywhere near what some of the other guys on the field were. I knew I was good enough to play, but not good enough to make a huge impact. As the seasons kind of went on, I made more and more of an impact. And about after the 21 season, I played in all 13 games and felt good. Felt like I, had an impact on the team, and felt like I was moving closer. And there was a part of me that was like, man, maybe, if I don't ever crack this and ever get into an all conference type of season, get into a higher level season, maybe I'm not ever going to get to the NFL. So there were ups and downs with it, but really after the 22 season, I had back-to-back 100 season tackles or 100 tackle seasons, and knew that, okay, I got a chance. I got the stats that kind of push a little publicity. I got an all-conference tag on me. I got multiple different all-conference first team, second teams from different publications, and I had some agents hit me up, and I was like, oh, this is real. There's a chance here. Talking to them and hearing what they had to say about like my draft grade and where I might fall, and heading into this season, I knew, if I have a pretty good season, I play good against Kentucky and Georgia, then I'll have a chance to maybe sneak into the late rounds and try to be a 4, 5, 6, 7th round guy or high priority free agency. And I just knew that was when it came real, and I just needed to have a good season. And I've always told people that plan 1 and plan 2, there really wasn't such a thing. It's always 1A, 1B for me. I wanted to go to the NFL, and I wanted to become a doctor. So I did all those simultaneously. And like you said, I'm at a crossroads in this point where I need to decide, with my injury, do I come back off of a medical red shirt, or do I try at the NFL, or do I hang it up completely and become a doctor, or attempt to become a doctor, because I still am going through the application process. But really, I would say the last couple years, after the last 2 seasons, I kind of was hearing more and more rumblings about the possibility of the NFL being real.
Gotcha. Well, in hearing your answers from my short perspective, it seems similar in that each person was brought onto the team differently. Each person has been through challenges, pain, I call it straining, under duress. And each time you have any kind of success, you build more confidence. So one of my phrases is always confidence comes from reps. And the more meaningful reps that you have, the more confidence you have. An easy example is most people are confident squatting 135 with that on their back, not so confident with 535 on their back. And getting through medical school, there's got to be confidence. Hey, I can actually handle biology. And I can tell you specifically in chemistry and biology, Jim Beebe really could not handle that very well. So there's no confidence I'd be getting through medical school because I don't have the reps that back that up. But with you guys, every time you guys had these wins, you're like, hey, shoot, I can do this. And also, every time you have these wins, they usually, I might be putting words in your mouth, they seem to occur simultaneously when you said, hey, I went all in and I shot my shot here. And I just did the best I could, right? And it's the doubt, the lingering, that negative voice that kind of holds you back, play slow, that leads to a negative play, and then confidence deteriorates. Now that you guys see that, hey, every time I've been through adversity at some point, I've done okay, right? Even if you don't play in the NFL or you're not all conference, hey, I handled all those weeks in camp in the heat. I handled all that duress from different personalities, people screaming at you, MFing you, right? I handled all those wins, all those losses while I'm getting a master's degree. Are you really that afraid later when you graduate and say, all right, well, I have a job now and, I have these new challenges? At that point in your life, you've had so many experiences, so many reps. You got to be like, you know what? I'm probably going to be okay no matter what, right? So then the challenge becomes, hey, I'm playing at this level, or I'm this smart for medical school, but I need to be at this next standard to achieve that level of success. Now that you have this level of confidence, do you feel that you're more apt to push? Hey, I did okay given this much effort. I got to this level. What if, now that I've seen I can actually do these things, what if I pushed here? What if I did more playbook reading, right? Can I get here? What if I got a little bit faster? Can I get there? Does that then drive you more? Does it change your habits at all? Does it change your behaviors witnessing some successes like that? Anybody?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it makes you more hungry in a fashion, more ambition, more drive. And always the part for me as I got older was younger me would always just more effort and just go harder. And as I got older, I realized, wait, there's other ways you can go about getting better. Like that bar that you're trying to raise isn't always going to be raised just by pure effort or just going harder. There was other fashions. There was other small things that I could change, lifestyle, school, anything football wise, that you can change at a small level to increase. And that's where I felt like I got better, was when I started exploring other options to get better as a person and then as an athlete all at the same time.
Gotcha. Anybody else? Any other thoughts on that? Gotcha. So in high school, what are some things that you wish you knew then that you know now? Joey.
Yeah, I mean, there's, many. I tell Jack all the time. It's like, man, I wish I knew how to do, this certain technique when playing linebacker. I wish I knew how to, instead of just running straight down into people, how to actually use, a post and punch move, or how to dip and rip and get off blocks instead of seeking out contact. It's like, I wish I would have known how important sleep and nutrition was in high school as well. Because, that's, like everybody says, recovery is one of the biggest things. and nutrition obviously plays a big part in that. And it's always how great could I have been in all these what ifs back in high school if I would have known all those things. So I think for me it was definitely technique and my sleep and nutrition for sure.
Gotcha. What else? Anybody else?
I would say just finding a mentor. Honestly, I can't put my finger on one thing that would um, honestly help me the most, but I think finding a mentor has helped me a lot in college, especially with like Cole and Clayton are two guys that are we like to joke they're like grandpas for us, but or dads, whatever. But uh, they've helped all three, me, Joey, and Weagled a lot. With both of them graduating, like they've passed so much knowledge on to us. I just wish I had something like that in high school. That's been through it, or that's going to play college ball. Really, like where I came from, there wasn't a whole lot of people going to do it. So I would just say trying to find someone around the area or someone that um, to help, with the ropes, teach you along the way. And there's so much stuff to be taught, and that can be taught from older guys. That's what I'm most grateful for in college, just finding mentors like that. I wish I had those in high school. So
Anybody else?
I
Clayton,
agree with both
your
of them.
dad's a coach, so you probably had plenty of football talk. Plus, you had older
Yeah.
brothers, so it's gonna be
Yeah,
pouring
I
in your
agree
head at
with
some point.
Yeah, I agree with both of those a lot. The sleep, nutrition, I feel like I did a good job of it because my dad was always on me with it. But my knowledge now is far superior, especially with my undergrad. But the big thing that looking back on it, I wish I was always somebody that hated reading. I wasn't a big reader. I'd rather watch a YouTube video or something, a video to learn. But I wish I would have read more. I wish I would have invested more from a like a philosophical perspective. I wish I would have dove deeper into the mental capacity, how to train mentally, how to get better in that fashion. Because that's where I felt like that confidence and a lot of that stuff that we've talked about grew, was when I started investing outside of the sport. And really, I felt like my dad pushed that on me because he did all that reading and he would give me books. Hey, read this. And I didn't really start doing that. Didn't start reading those books that he gave me until I got into college. So I wish I would have invested more into a mindset.
Gotcha.
gosh, it's just like
Yeah,
me.
I may have, as you can tell from the all behind me, there's a small fraction of the books that are downstairs in my library. And as much as I read, my wife reads more, and as much as she reads, my daughter reads more than her. Any other thoughts on that? Because I was going to comment. If you know that, so Jack has probably heard this 1,000 times, and Lucas too. But when I look at an athlete with their head, there's their mindset, there's knowledge of how to be better in their sport, and then there's how they communicate out of their mouth with teammates, whether it's their leadership team, coaches, people on the field, or the support team, right? And if you can get better at your mindset, your knowledge in your sport, or how you deal with people, you'd be a better athlete. Things outside, off the field, as Clayton says. Physically, there's what goes in your mouth, your nutrition, there's what you do, that's your training, and then there's your recovery. How do you recover really well so you can go hard again? And then every athlete has their own playbook, kind of tying it all together. And several of you guys already pointed out that I wish I knew this or had someone to tell me this. If you know that to be true now, are you out looking for mentors giving you that extra knowledge? Now, there could be mentors on the team, like if Cole and Clayton are the oldest people, but there's got to be, no offense, people better or smarter than those two guys, right? So you take your resources that are there, but would you go to a coach and say, hey, do you guys know any NFL caliber linebackers I can talk to, whether they're playing or not? Or do you have, if you ask another coach or a strength coach, do you have anything else I could talk to? Or if you could always find that next resource, whether it's the books behind me or YouTube videos or a person, if you know that the sooner that knowledge gets pounded into your head, you're going to be better. Do you then go and ask, hey, I need help in this. Where else can I learn more? Yes, no. If the answer is no, it's okay. Say no. Because then the next question will be, why not?
I would say yes, but probably could be more.
So just ask, right?
Yeah.
If your coach is Stockton, hey, Stockton, who else can I talk to? Or new or someone else or any other linebackers, I can talk to. I'm trying to get better because we're trying to win a championship.
Yeah,
I
I
swear to
would
God,
agree with
I thought.
that. No, you
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was literally reading a book in a place that no one knows me, a local cigar bar, and this guy was next to me studying the Bible because he's in Bible college to be a preacher. And we started talking about sports, and he ended up being one of the chaplains for the Colts. And I was like, my son's going to college to play football, and you chaplain the Colts. Do you know any Colts or anybody else that I could introduce to Jack? And he's like, yeah, I got a guy right here. He's also works with the Colts and the chaplains, and so he played at Notre Dame and then the Colts and the Cardinals. And I was literally just lucky, sat next to him and started talking. And I'm like, and so he called him and said, hey, is it cool if Jim calls you? And he said, yeah. So I called Devon McDonald. The next thing you know, he and Jack have been talking for a couple of years now. And it was just honestly a willingness to ask. It was luck and a willingness to ask all the time because I don't really care. I don't worry about what people think. I'm just going to take a shot. Go ahead, Cole, your turn.
Yeah, no, just to go off that, I feel like I completely understand what you're saying, that you're looking for someone who's maybe better than me or Clayton, like you said. Maybe he's in the NFL, he has a higher status or like platform or whatnot. But I feel like I learned a lot and kind of I just learned a lot from other people on our team. Like even if they were younger
Sure.
from me, um, I've learned a lot from coaches. And I just feel like some of those skills, some of those aspects, you can like kind of you can take on yourself, and that could make your mindset better, or maybe allow you to be a better football player, and just like a man, just being a man too. So I feel like you can learn from a lot of different people. It doesn't have to just be um, someone maybe higher in your sport, or just have a higher platform. Obviously, that would be great. I'm sure you could learn a ton from them. But I feel like
Sure.
there's just always resources around you that you can take advantage and learn from.
100%. And if you're looking for more philosophical books, Clayton, the Book of the Five Rings is going to be fantastic for you. Two of my last 3 strength coaches on the podcast, they referenced that book. The book on mastery and teach you how to be a master at any craft. That's by Green. That's going to help you out a ton. Anything you want to change your habits at all, Atomic Habits is going to be key. If you're looking for building that mindset, and if you know confidence comes from reps, and the more you must strain, the more powerful the confidence becomes. I will look at Mark Devine's Seal Fit, right? It's like CrossFit, but on steroids. And they have their Kokoro camps, which is all their warrior camps. And some are 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. It's designed to get people, whether civilians, just test them and build their confidence. But if you're looking to go to BUDS and the SEAL training, it's a little precursor. I think one has a 24 or I think a 48-hour evolution where you're awake and working in one of their camps, and they're always offered, year round out in California. So you can learn plenty about yourself, plenty about everything from people completely outside the sport and applying it to your endeavor. Just keep looking and hunting for it. If you're looking at your mindset in your head, I asked, what are 1 or 2 things that are critical for your mindset as an athlete? And Cole said, my faith and not getting down on yourself when you make a mistake. Talk about how your faith has impacted you on the field or your mindset.
Yeah, that is that's kind of somewhat new. I really prioritized my faith about 2 years ago, influenced by a lot of my teammates, and just the strong relationships I had with my teammates. But the faith I believe in, I mean, it's just kind of what Weagle was talking about earlier. You're not really judged on win and losses. You're not really judged on making a mistake. He's always going to love you, and stuff like that. My faith has just given me such more peace of mind from things like that, like getting down on myself. But I always know that someone's there for me, someone loves me, someone cares for me. So really, really just a peace of mind aspect of it. And just when I mess up, to go into my second point there, when I mess up, it's not the end of the world. It's not. There's bigger and better things than just missing a tackle or missing a fit. It just really helped me with my perspective and just gave me a great peace of mind.
Who else? That's a good answer, Cole. The perspective is key. One little play doesn't win or lose the game. It's more your ability to adjust and get that feedback loop as quick as possible so you can improve as quick as possible. And staying humble allows you to hear the lesson, feel the lesson, so you can apply it quickly. What's another thing that's been critical mindset-wise? Let's say Jack Beebe.
I would completely agree with what Cole just said. Especially with the faith, just having that perspective. I completely agree. I'll piggyback off of that a little bit, but I would say another thing, that every time I do it, for however how long it is, just keep I don't know what you want to call it, just keeping track of things. We talk about that a lot, Dad. Um, like I don't want to say like recording data essentially, just to see your wins and losses, and what you do, like whether that's your weight, your sleep, um, the amount of times you pray throughout the day, like anything, um, stuff like that, has really every time I do it, um, I see dramatic improvement. I'd say so that for me has helped me the most mentally. I'd say.
You improve what you measure, right?
Yeah.
You improve what you measure. That's just right out of the textbook, Atomic Habits. And so you measure the scoreboard, you measure on the scale, you measure your grades, you measure your tax return, right? You improve, what you measure. So the phrase with Athlete Builder is win the day, because in those 6 components I talked about, 3 for the head and 3 for the body, if you can find the priority in all 6, and you have a task that day that moves the needle in all 6 the most, and you accomplish that task, you then won that day. And the more times you have those tick marks of winning those days coming into Saturday, you got to be like, all right, I put in all this work. I deserve to feel good about my approach. Now, if you stood up in front of a 2,000 people to give a speech on radioactive energy for solar panels, you're probably not going to feel real confident. But if you stood up in front of those same folks and you talked about a basic tackle, right, you have enough confidence because you have enough data. So you're right, those tick marks and seeing all the wins that you've had. Hey, you know what? I'm good here. I'm good. Clay says, hey, I had 2 seasons where I had 100 tackles each. I'm doing all right, right? Knowledge wise, you guys both hit on it, or you guys already hit on it right away with having a mentor, getting in a playbook. What's something that's been critical that would set you apart from other people on the team, knowledge wise? Hey, I did this instead of someone else doing this, and it made all the difference. Or I got an edge because I got smarter in an area. What was the habit or the edge that you got from what you did? Clayton.
I think I was spoiled a little bit in the fashion that I grew up around football. That's all I did all day, every day. I had 2 older brothers, and my dad was our head coach growing up. So we did nothing but talk football. So I was spoiled in the fashion of football. But even when I left the house and went to college, I was still learning at a high rate. I still was immersing myself in football talk and football knowledge, not only what we were doing with our football team, but what other teams were doing. And I think that was a big piece that a lot of people like, man, you know our playbook so well, or you know this. It's like, well, yes, I studied our playbook. I studied it hard, but I also immersed myself in football so much, not just playing Madden or not just watching it on TV, but actually learning it, actually studying it. So when stuff comes up, and I've talked to the younger guys on our team about it, if you just memorize our playbook, it'll only take you so far. But if you actually learn it, if you learn football, if you learn what we're talking about, if you learn the scheme, then it'll take you a lot further than just memorizing. So I think one of the big things, like knowledge-wise, that helped me was learning football, not just trying to memorize it.
Gotcha. So my speech on Bill Belichick and knowing the playbook, he says that if you just memorize it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10's perfect. If you just know your position and you have it memorized, you get a grade of 5. You're still so far away from where you need to be. If you know everyone around you, then you're at 6. Right? If you know the offense across from you, you're at 7. 8 is all the offenses across from you in conference. 9 is all the offenses across you out of conference, and 10 is any other teams you might play over your career. And only then. So when he was playing, man, there was an entire episode on this when they're playing against Mike Martz's Rams team, the Patriots. It was the greatest show on turf. He studied Mike Martz's psychology and his ego, and he hypothesized that there's no way he would go away from the pass. And so they just loaded up against the pass, and they had Marshall Faulk, and they could have run and run and run. There was nobody up front, and he refused to go to the run game, and he lost. And you had to know that it's that level, then you're at a 10. So to your point, Clayton, just memorizing your position, you're literally only halfway there. Anyone else? Got an edge or a habit, knowledge-wise, getting smarter. I learned this about, it could be in anything. Doesn't have to necessarily be on the field.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I feel like I kind of took my intelligence or knowledge on the football field to another level, similar to what you were saying, but just kind of thinking in a different perspective, kind of thinking like in an offensive perspective, like for instance, why they line up the way they do, why they put players the places they do. Similar to things like defense, like we align in certain places for certain reasons. They align in certain areas for certain reasons. Small things like splits, obviously down and distance. I didn't really think about all that stuff when I first started playing football, especially in college and high school. High school, I didn't think about that at all. But once I started playing more ball, once I started getting the playbook down and have very confident about that, that was a kind of another way to expand on my knowledge because those things matter, and you can really determine if it's run or pass or even a certain run or pass if you look at some of those things for sure. And yeah, that was it. That was a huge reason or a huge way how I expanded my knowledge for sure.
If you know yourself and you know the opponent, you will never lose 1,000 battles. That's kind of the deal, right? So do you guys ever take a journal or take notes and saying, hey, I ate this way going into this game, but ended up being a later game and I was still hungry, or my stomach didn't respond, or I studied 1 hour extra on the playbook and ended up being enough, or I studied 1 hour and it wasn't enough. You have your idea of what I need to do next, but then you have to adjust because you could be wrong, right? Do you guys take notes after practices or games or conversations with coaches or when you have evaluations? I think some of you guys met with your D coordinator recently. You guys take notes and say, hey, I had this thought going in, and then you kind of check yourself so that after a season, you might have a lesson that you learned, but if you don't write down, if you're like me, I forget. You guys have any habits with that or any successes with that or no?
I would have to say taking notes after a practice, or something I really started doing this year was after our morning practices, going back up in the afternoon and meeting with Coach Stock and, going over film with him, because obviously when we watch film, maybe as like a unit together, we have our own ideas, we have our own critiques. But if you go meet with Coach Stock, he will have his own ideas and his own critiques, and so you might get maybe more detailed notes, or he'll kind of explain, as Cole was saying about, when you see the running back do this, it's most likely going to be this, and the reason why they're doing that. And sometimes you might miss that as a unit, or you just get different insight. So I 100% take notes on that, or like just little things like this formation's 86% pass, and why is that?
Gotcha. That could be huge. That can make a big difference on a drive. I just saw this clip, and I sent it to Jack, and it was on Kobe's approach to watching breaking down film. And he said what Kobe was describing in the video was most people say, hey, they'll watch their game they just played. I did this well. Keep doing more of this. I didn't do this so well. Do less of this. And Kobe would say, yeah, you're just halfway there after that assessment and analysis. He goes, I want to see what other people's body language looks like on my team or on the opponent's team coming out of this situation. I want to see what this angle looks like with this guy's shins, tells me where he's going next or where the ball is. So he's looking for all those tells, like you're playing poker, right? And he's looking for all that data. So he says that watching a game that lasts 2 hours, it'll take him 4 to 5 hours to break it down because you're rewinding and taking in all that extra data. Now, he's one of those folks that I call it the statue, where they literally build statues of those people. And he was so obsessive on his preparation that few attain that level. But you get an idea that there's all those nuances. And to your point, Joey, you can pick those up from other folks. So if you're doing that, I would say keep going. Anybody else? We're all good there? On your team, whether it's
I'll say one more thing.
Yeah, go
Hold
ahead.
on. With like the thing we started doing, I think it was Mark Stoops. Is that who said that started doing the end of
Right. So
battle of angles? Now you can talk about that more. Like what we did after
So I
those
went
Monday
to
meetings or whatever.
Ohio State's football camp with the coaches, and they had different coaches speaking on different components, whether it's talking to X's and O's with ball or whatever. But Mark Stoops at Kentucky is a military guy also, and whether you're in the military or you're at a pharmaceutical company like Merck, when you have a major event, they have their debriefs, right? And they will call it their AARs, or after action report. So after games or practices, the players all have their after action reports. Here's what I thought going into the game. Here was my assignment. Here was my mantra that was guiding me through the game. Here's how we did. Here's how my approach worked or didn't work. And here's how I would adjust next week. So it's that here's your game plan going in, and then how did it go? And then you have your data so you can adjust going forward. So just having I call it an after action report. It sets up the framework, and it's on one of the workbooks I'm creating for our athletes, whether in any sport. But it gives you it's like a workbook so that every week you can you have all your notes and it asks you all the questions. So having some kind of debrief, like if you're not doing it now, whatever company you're at, you will absolutely be doing it. And if Cole's a doctor and he has surgery on somebody, there's going to be a debrief on how the whole procedure went. And Jack just had his hand worked on. The doctor came in and said, hey, here's how the procedure went. The incision took this. We got the screw in here. It was a 30-minute procedure. There's no complications, et cetera. So there's constantly that feedback loop. And the quicker you get it and the more detailed you get it, the better your product or person or company is. So is that about sum it up, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah. So between your coaches and your staff and your family and friends and all your teammates, like how many different cultures and subcultures are there on that team? And communicating and getting along with people, that's got to be tough because you got a 120 person roster, all these different currents and all these different cross currents of personalities. Some guys are jokesters, right? And some people are not. Some people are religious and some people aren't. Some people drink and some people don't smoke. Some people smoke weed and some people are smart, right? What's that like for 4, 5, 6 years of immersing yourself in a diverse culture like that? How do you guys mesh? What does that take? What does that look like communication wise from a teammate perspective?
I think because the team is so large, it flows a lot smoother than you'd think. Any team, we talked about earlier the best and like worst parts of college football, and I think one of the best parts is the fact that you're experiencing. I mean, we have multiple countries, multiple states, East Coast, West Coast, South Coast, so many different people in one locker room that you get to experience so many different things and hear so many different perspectives, so many outlooks on life that it's kind of awesome. It's one of the best parts of football to me, to get to meet, and we talked about those relationships, but to build a relationship with somebody from a different country and talk to them about stuff from their country or from their part of the United States is just absolutely crazy.
Got to be kind of open-minded for that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And those that are not so open-minded probably doesn't go so well.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys in any locker room, any situation, I think there's some people that keep themselves. I think with a team like this, with how much we've gone through together on the athletics side, I don't think there's anybody that's disrespectful to other people's opinions and perspective on life. But you can definitely, if you're open-minded, you can definitely learn a lot. Can attest to what Cole said earlier about, somebody older than you, higher status. Yes, you can always learn from that, but you also can learn from somebody that just walked in the locker room because they've lived a different life than you. And it's very beneficial to listen to people and be open-minded, even if it's, religion, politics, whatever, any kind of polarizing topic. It's okay to be open-minded in a locker room like that.
That's got to be awesome. You can so many avenues for growth, right? Plus, there are colleagues and a network. Your network is enormous once you graduate. If you have a 100-person roster this year, well, last year you had a 100-person roster, and some of those people are different, right? And Clayton's been there 5 years, 6 years, close to 5-6 years. That's probably overall net 300-400 people, plus coaches, plus support staff. I would make sure I have phone numbers and email addresses. What's been a challenging component, like dealing with coaches, or that's something you didn't expect coming to college? Hey, man, I didn't think it was going to be like this, or this is a lot harder than I thought. I haven't heard from Weagold in a minute.
I would say the relationship that I had with my coach in high school was super personal. Just like that's the type of guy. He was my dean, so it was just around him a lot. Just developed a really good relationship with him. Obviously, going through the recruiting process, he helped out a lot. So you go a certain sort of connection in high school with your coach. It's a little bit different when you get to college, but just because the sheer amount of coaches you have, got a lot of guys telling you different stuff, and Coach Stock does a great job of really treating our unit just like a family. But I'd say there's definitely obviously there's more of a business aspect to it, because at the end of the day there is money on the line. These guys are providing for their families, and that's preached here and there. That this is more to a game to them. This is their how they put food on the table. So I think there's a little bit more urgency, I guess would be the word to say, with how they do their job and how they coach you, because there are things at stake, I would say.
Gotcha. What do you think, Joey?
I think that one of the things that was difficult was you have the idea of, like, when you first get there, of, okay, I kind of want to be a leader, or I want to lead, that group of freshmen when you first get there. And it was difficult for me to everybody takes criticism and critique differently. And just trying to find a balance of how certain guys respond to it. Especially, like, let's say, like, if I wanted to tell Cole something, like, I know I can yell at Cole and Cole won't get mad. But then if I was to use the same technique on Weagold and I start yelling at him, he will respond differently than how Cole does. And it was just trying to find which ways work for what guys, and trying to like balance that and try to coach guys as well and lead guys without being that, douchebag type guy who thinks he knows it all.
I'm sure Clayton's dad could attest to this. There's the X's and O's. There's the science of coaching, right? But the art of coaching is equally as important, in how you reach someone and get them to move forward. And it's different for everybody. And just because you might be right and you're shoving it down someone's face, they might not actually try at all to move forward because they hate you, right? So that artwork of communicating and working with folks is going to be critical. You guys must have some different personalities in the coaching staff, right? Some people are more aggressive. Some not as much. Some probably just talk very matter-of-factly, and some probably use more colorful language, right? And if you're with me, you probably get a little bit of all of it. It's got to take a little bit of getting used to as well, right?
Yes.
That's it. Just yes.
Yeah.
That's a safe answer.
I think
Gotcha.
it goes into the older guys. A lot of the older guys typically will help the younger guys out. Like, hey, like you can't with around so and so, you got to kind of be like this. Hey, so and so is going to coach you like this, but tomorrow he's going to love you like his son. But that coach over there, he's just going to walk up to you and tell you, hey, you have to do this. And I think it's on the older guys sometimes to help explain that to the young guys because there's a lot going on in college football. It's a business at the end of the day.
And that comes back to that knowledge component. If you're older and you know that, the sooner you get that knowledge into another kid, the better that teammate is, right? So you getting that person better absolutely improves the team, then improves you, comes right back, and you get a better shot. Training-wise, some things that were critical or things that you thought, man, I wish I would have known this, or you guys want to talk about lifting or speed or anything like, habits there. What are some lessons, nuggets, or any topics or things you want to get off your chest about training at a college level?
I would say I have to say for me, and I'm still dealing with this, and I mean all these guys on here know one of my biggest weaknesses is my mobility and flexibility. And you can be the weight room warrior, and you can be the fastest guy in the field, but if you can't move or you can't use those muscles the way they're supposed to be used, you might not be effective. And that's one of the things that I really neglected in high school. I was just like, okay, I got to get stronger, or I got to get bigger, because I was like, these guys are going to be bigger and stronger, so I got to do this. And I just looked past all of that, and it really, really sunk in last year. It's like, man, if I could, touch my toes, I could, be a lot better at what I do.
Gotcha. Well, in some ways, being a little tight is actually going to be decent because you're going to snap more. Your muscles will snap a little quicker. On the other hand, if you're not mobile at all, then you move slowly, and your reaction time, your muscle reaction time is not as good. So you guys are in a horrible position in that you're asked to have the endurance to play the whole game. You got to be powerful right off the snap. You have to have strength right at the point of contact. You got to be able to contort your body in different directions. You got to do it over and over so your body's eating itself from a calorie standpoint, different weather conditions. So you have to be so well-rounded at such a high level. It's really, really a challenge. And me in a powerlifting or strongman world, my arena is so narrow. I don't have those constraints, especially in powerlifting. It's just 3 lifts, right? So it's completely different. You guys are in a really tough spot. A couple of you guys pointed out in your questionnaire that you realized it was important to be strong, but you didn't realize how important power was. Talk about that a little bit. Who wrote that? Weagold.
Yeah, pretty much what I said kind of stems off of what Joey was saying, no pun intended. Just like being able to lift a certain amount isn't good if you can't lift that fast. Like there's a whole lot of guys, and I was this way in high school. Like my strength coach told me early on, like I should be able to squat 315 going into my junior year, so still a sophomore at linebacker. So eating a bunch, training a bunch just to lift that certain amount so then I could check that box and be like, all right, I fit that requirement, versus being able to move weight fast and be able to bend are things that I neglected later on in high school that showed up and were glaring issues when I got to the college level of like, yeah, these guys are just as stronger, if not stronger than me, because they're older and they've been through more weight training seasons and whatnot, but they can also bend, they can also move, and they recover quicker because the mobility and flexibility is better, and they're available at practice when I'm not because something A or B is hurting. I just say the whole culmination of things is kind of neglected in high school because they think that you just have to be strong to be a good football player, and that's the furthest thing from truth. I mean, no offense to Cole, but Cole tell you firsthand he's not a weight room warrior. This guy doesn't bench a whole lot, doesn't squat a whole lot, but
just getting called out on air. That's awesome.
Second team all Mac.
Told you about
So
that,
Right.
Jeff.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the rest of the world knows, but anyone that listens to this podcast, which is probably 7 or 8 people, then they'll probably know now.
It's all good.
After this
It's all
It's all
good.
good. For just a quick resource for you guys working on your mobility, GoWOD is an app you can get. It's very cheap, and it has different regimens and routines for improving different flexibility and mobility areas. You can just do their basic program every day, which will legit get you better, or you can have it more customized. But GoWOD is a very, very easy resource.
Joey, that's that
I would
app I
say-
showed you a couple years ago.
You did tell me about that because you said you used to do it and you said it helped.
Yeah.
What a resource Clayton is.
That GoWOD app will get you right. That daily
telling you.
15 minutes. Take that
Right?
mobility test once a month and it'll humble you.
And I'm not being endorsed by that group. I'm just telling you because it's right.
One day, eventually.
Yeah, who knows? Anybody else?
I was going to say one more thing real quick about that, training wise. It's like we talked about like the film work earlier and like just doing more on the outside than what just going to like, because a lot of guys can just go to the facility, do the bare minimum and call it a day. But like lifting wise, a lot of us know this, that like sometimes the prescribed workout's not going to be enough for you, or the prescribed amount of stretching or running is not going to be enough to get you where you want your goals to take you. And I think a lot of us know that, but especially lifting wise, that a lot of us have taken our matters into our own hands in some regards, and that's, I feel like, has paid dividends to all of us in that matter, I'd say.
Well, one of the books I have, last name's Moad. He's a psychology coach, worked with Russell Wilson. The title is It Takes What It Takes, right? And if you can apply that to these 6 components, you'll understand where I'm going with this. We could agree that some people aren't in good enough shape to get through basic training at the Navy. We could agree that some can get through basic training. They're at a higher standard physically and mentally, or at least they decided to enlist. Other people can do it just to decide not to. Then we can agree that those that go to SEAL training and BUDS, we could agree that mentally and physically, they're probably at a higher level than those that just went through basic. They aspire to a higher standard. And there's those that sign up and most don't make it, like 2/3 to 3/4 don't make it. But there's 1/3 to 1/4 that does. Clearly at a higher standard, did more, prep, suffered more, whatever. And out of that group, there's still the honor man, the number 1 graduate in that class who was at the highest performance level. What you guys do when you're training or studying film or in the classroom or on your team, you're going to have at least what the team standard looks like, right? And then you got to decide what you look around. Some people will compare themselves. Hey, well, this person's doing this, or Cole did this, he lifted this, and he's doing all right. But Joey lifts more, and he's doing all right. You start comparing yourself to them, and sometimes that's great because maybe their standard is higher than yours, so it pushes you. Then again, if you're on a team that doesn't do so well, or you work at a company that doesn't do so well and they go bankrupt, the standard that everyone's applying themselves to isn't really good enough. Then you got to decide for yourself, what standard do I need to apply myself to? Whether it's in the knowledge piece or your mobility piece. And say, for me to get right, I need this. Because your strength coach will have, hey, you guys doing these drills, but for me to play at the level I want to play at, which might be I want to be a starter, or I want to be all conference, or I'm trying to play at the NFL, then you got to decide what standard does that look like in all 6 of those components, and then push to that. And then once you're there, you look around and say, all right, is this where I want to be? Or is there another standard I need to move to next? So in the weight room, you have to apply that as well. Am I strong enough? Okay. Am I powerful enough? Okay. Am I mobile enough? Okay. to be at the team standard. But what is yours? And that's a question you're going to have to answer yourself all the time, every day. In building strength, like Jackson was talking about, you said power was more important. 2 things on strength, or 3 things on strength. 1, there's your absolute strength, how much you can lift for 1 rep, right? The higher that absolute number is, all the lower, lighter weights should be easier. Moving those lighter weights fast, that's speed strength. That's what you're working at most of the time at the game, right? You're not going at 100% lifting as heavy as you can, but you're trying to move things quickly. Where people make mistakes is as they're laddering up in any of their sets, the lighter sets, they treat them as if they're just casual lifts, and they're not. You're lightweight at 135, you have to move as fast as possible so you generate the most force production. And then there's hypertrophy, like repetition strength. You got to build enough mass. So doing lighter weight, heavier reps, 15, 20, 25 reps. Build up all 3 of those things, then you can build your overall strength. And then power. Power's definition is work divided by change in time. Work is force times distance. So force is mass times acceleration times distance. Mass times acceleration, how far do you move it, say 3 yards, over that change in time. The more force production you have, the harder you hit somebody, the less you feel it. The harder you hit somebody, the more they feel it, the more impact you have. Can you create more power? So all 3 of those components, absolute strength, speed strength, and repetition strength, are critical for building that. So if you're lacking in one of those 3 areas, it'll hold you back. If you push all 3, then you'll be, at least physically, as good as you can be. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes?
Yes.
So knowing that it takes what it takes, your challenge then is to say, hey, physically or mentally or knowledge-wise or mobility-wise, where am I going next? And what's my process, and can I get there? How do I get there? Who's going to teach me? Who's my mentor? And who's on my team with me is going to push me and lock arms and do the same thing? Answer those questions. You got a huge, huge shot. Any other thoughts on training?
I would like to add. Go ahead.
That's the question. Lucas, you kind of like worked in the college strength industry. Like, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've had a few years of experience there. I just want to know what, like, your kind of bread and butter right here.
It's any strength coach you ask, what are your thoughts on strength and conditioning? They're going to have their own kind of opinions. And each place I've ever worked at, they've all kind of done a lot of different things. When I spent time at Purdue, those guys was all velocity based training. So they're recording everything on Tendo units. I think we used Elite Form. So their squats, everything that they lift is with speed. They never lift slow. I was there when Rondell Moore was there, and he was 185 pounds, and he squatted 600. So whenever he's running on the field, he's real fast. So it just kind of depends on where you're at, and you got to keep in mind, like, when you're working with athletes and you're working with, specifically we're talking to Division I athletes, if, like you said, if a guy can squat 600 pounds but he can't move, what's the point of squatting 600 pounds? So we've talked about you want to lift and be strong optimally for your position and what you're going to do. I'm not going to sit here and say you're going to get too strong, because it's probably not going to happen. But your ability to apply strength and apply that to the field is the most important thing. And regardless if it's a speed problem, a mobility issue, a ability to move laterally, ability to apply force, you got, if you're a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, you're going to have to move the guy in front of you. So, you're going to have to move some weight, and you're probably not going to move weight as fast, or you're not going to cover as much ground as fast as a wide receiver. But if you can move big weight fast, you have a better chance of winning, if that makes sense. So, Nope, there's no right or wrong way to train, but you got to understand who you're training, what the task of, the task of your sport. If the task of your sport is to rotate and hit a ball, or to pitch a baseball, you're going to work to develop qualities that are optimal for that sport. That makes sense. So guys have their niche, what they like to do. There's speed guys out there. There's conditioning guys out there. There's no right or wrong. But I'll tell you, if there's a big indicator if you got guys getting hurt. That's a big indicator, right? You know, you have to be strong. You have to be fast. You have to move laterally. You have to be an athlete. You know, those are the things you have to do and have to be an athlete, especially a Division I football player. If that makes sense. You know, so
Well, we just had Tom Berry is the head of Westside. They trained tons of athletes, and that episode dropped this week. And he's straight up said, hey, the point of lifting in the weight room is to apply your skill. It's not to be the best person in the weight room. Who cares if you can't apply your skill? But if you can apply your skill better and you use that tool of the weight room to do so, then do that. But the whole point of training is to apply your skill, and your skill is essentially making tackles, breaking up plays, interceptions, knocking people out of games, and things like that. So that's why you guys are in the weight room, and you just using that as a tool to apply, just like your recovery tools.
There's a thing people like to throw around saying, well, we don't train sport, being sports specific. We don't do enough sport specific stuff, right? We're not, whatever that may look like, whether, a good example is a baseball player going out and mimicking everything they do on the baseball field. That's not necessarily probably the way you want to do everything. You want to develop the qualities of baseball. Training in and of itself is sport specific, if that makes sense. Getting stronger, getting faster, being able to move, all that. It's sport specific because it's everything that's going to be applied to your sport, if that makes sense.
Especially the guys that are younger, middle school and high school.
Oh, yeah.
We want to well-rounded. Yeah. You should be building well-rounded athletes. They shouldn't be doing basic drills at 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Yeah. It's build athletes.
And that you're starting to see a trend in strength and conditioning or sport training, sport performance world. You're starting to see a movement where people are really, really honing in on skill acquisition and the ability to do the task. So an example is a wide receiver always working on wide receiver routes, always working on breaks and stuff like that, but neglecting everything else that is required to be a good wide receiver, if that makes sense. They're always spending time trying to perfect this route. You can perfect the route, but if your output level is here, you're only ever going to run that route at this output. You're only ever going to get out of a break this fast, or a big one is you're ever going to be able to decel as much as your body is going to allow you to decel, which is then going to affect how fast you accelerate out of that. And if the better you can increase those capabilities, you're probably going to run a better route. If that makes sense.
You guys have already talked about this. A limiting factor was my mobility. A limiting factor was I didn't know how to eat. A limiting factor was I didn't even look at the playbook. So when you have those weak links, they obviously hold you back. You bring those up. And you guys in business school, you guys probably heard the SWOT analysis. And Zach's heard it a number of times. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? And what are your threats? So I apply those same questions to all 6 of those principles. You take your strengths, your competitive advantage, and push that up. You take your weakness that's holding you back. You bring that up so it doesn't hold you back. Your opportunities where you can actually do well if you apply these things, and your threat. So if you're a pitcher and you got a weak scap and upper back and shoulder, well, your threat is probably a rotator cuff surgery or a dead arm. You apply those questions. What's my SWOT analysis and all 6 of those components all the time, relentlessly? Then you find your priorities, and that gives you what you're going to try to win that day. Nutrition-wise, boy, you guys got to be shoveling a lot of food. Some of you guys are probably shoveling in beer. Some of you shoveling in cookies, right?
I was about to say something about nutrition. Talking about like strength training. I think a lot of people like the strength training argument and the strength training world, I think can be a little very niche and very trendy at times with the way social media travels for young kids. So whenever I go back to my high school and I talk to those guys, I think we have a really good strength and conditioning program at my high school, and those guys want to talk about doing other stuff. And I'm like worry about the low hanging fruit here. Let's talk about nutrition and sleep, because you're going to, as a high school kid, as long as you're doing getting through your phases of strength training, getting through explosive movements, getting through your plyometrics, getting through your volume that you need to, like you're going to grow and be a bigger, faster, stronger athlete because you're a teenage kid that's growing no matter what.
Yep.
But I think a lot of these kids miss, and in college, I think some of my teammates, I would say, even me at times, they miss the low-hanging fruit of nutrition and sleep. Like
Yep.
at a bare minimum, can you get 7 hours? Bare minimum, never under 7. Can you eat at or around maintenance level calories? Can you hit your macros on a day-to-day basis? Can you get your protein count? Like all of us have talked about it before, but like I just think that a lot of people miss the low-hanging fruit. Everybody wants to go do extra when all you really need to do is just like reevaluate yourself. Okay, well, I'm not sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours. Like I'm not recovering. I'm not eating enough. I'm eating nothing but carbs all day. I'm not going to recover. And I think a lot of people miss that low-hanging fruit.
It is enormous. I think of all the guys that put in their questionnaire, they all listed sleep. We had Brandon Smitley on. He runs a gym out of Terre Haute. He's a elite level coach. And he's like, yeah, the top 3 components of recovery are going to be sleep out of 10. I always say sleep is the number 1 steroid, but bar none. I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to give you guys a little quiz on sleep optimization. How often are you guys not on your phones before you go to bed, or not in front of the screen? Are you guys always on a screen before you go to bed?
Always.
Majority
Always.
of the time. Yeah.
Majority of the time. And so that stimulation impacts your REM sleep. Your brain is thinking, is stimulated. Like you watch Die Hard, the movie, right? Then you go to sleep. Your brain is wound up. So you're on that phone or that tablet or your computer screen. That light and what you're doing stimulates your brain, so it delays your REM sleep. So instead of getting 4 hours of REM sleep, you maybe get 2.5. Just getting off your phone and reading anything or having a conversation 30 minutes before you went to sleep is an enormous way to leverage your sleep improvement. Write that down. White noise in the background, going to be huge. Helps you sleep. Having your room as cold as possible, also huge. Same routine. If you go to bed at 10 during the week, but weekend rolls around and you go to bed at 2 in the morning because you're out at the bars, it's like you went to the West Coast and put yourself on jet lag because now you moved your clock around by 4 hours. I'm not saying I didn't do these things. I'm not saying my habits weren't worse. They were worse. I'd go to Taco Bell and then go to sleep, right? After a mountain of beer, right? I will then tell you, though, that was not right. I'm not judging, right? But I'll tell you, this is a better answer. At a higher level, you talk to those guys that are in the pros, and that's the standard you're aspiring to. They're going to be doing some breathing techniques, and do some meditation or prayer before they go to sleep. They calm themselves down even further. You write down a couple of things of gratitude, helps calm you down, and kind of then you start writing down a couple bullet points of what you want to be tomorrow. It starts training your subconscious. So if you have something that you suck at or something that holds you back, man, I suck at having these conversations with coaches. You write down direct communicator. And after a while, you're a different person. You can manipulate sleep. You can use it to your advantage. It is enormous. Enormous. I want to eat right before you go to bed, but if you're trying to gain weight, you kind of have to. What else? Nutrition, recovery-wise, has been helpful for you guys. Anything?
You hit on all mine.
Yeah.
Does Joey just walk around with like a lunch pail that's really a mass gainer of protein, and then he kind of just has like a little IV bag of milk that kind of goes right to that he kind of has to inject it into his arm? Is that what that's like?
It's just not like that at all.
Whoa, Joey. I think
It's just not like that at all.
You got to add the tart Jerry juice.
Yep.
Is he like that? Who's the guy that eats like raw livers? What's his name?
Liver King.
Liver King. Is that same? Is that what Joey is?
That's just absolutely not true. That guy's
Yeah, that's-
so.
The only thing different between Joey and that guy is the steroids.
Nah, Joey still does those.
Is that right? NC2A doesn't test Joey.
No.
No.
NC2A.
Okay,
No.
Right.
NC2A.
You guys are wild.
Hey guys, real quick. So I work in the high school realm. I train with a lot of athletes every day. Work with football guys, right? We have Division I talent. We got Power 5 talent. It seems like every year. Now, every kid we work with wants to go to college. They have the dreams of playing Division I, and so the things you guys say, some of these guys are going to hear that, and it's gonna impact them. So what are the couple things, just from you guys? What are some misconceptions about being a Division I athlete? What are some of those that you can tell these guys what it's like? Because some of these, there's such a mentality, and not where I'm at particularly, but everywhere in high school, of the Division I or bust mentality. Some of the guys think if they don't go Division I, and it's so bad, it's if we don't go Power 5, if I don't go to Ohio State, I'm not going anywhere. Coming from a Division III athlete, I played Division III. I loved it. I knew what I was capable of. Right. Tell some of these guys like the misconceptions of being a Division I athlete and the realities of that. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I guess
one thing that I would just.
go
Cole,
Eagle, go Eagle.
No, you got it. You got it.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we're all human. I mean, when I was in high school, I thought all these Division I players were just like some superheroes. They were just some crazy people that I never thought I'd be able to be. We're all human. We all do the same exact thing. And kind of referring to the Power 5 level and the Group of 5 level or FCS, whatever. I mean, it's all football. It's all the same game. There's just a couple different things between either coaching or personally, I think it's a little bit between coaching and just in the trenches. I think there's a lot of Group of 5 mid-skill / skill players that can easily play Power 5. It's just those small little things that are the biggest difference, I'd say, from my personal experiences. But really, just not to be overwhelmed. And when you become a Division I athlete, you still do similar things to what other people do. Obviously, your schedule is different. Obviously, normal college students do different things. But I mean, we're all human. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. They're not perfect people. They have emotions, like all that kind of stuff. So that was my biggest thing when prior to college and thinking back on it now that we're all just human and we're all just normal people that just play a sport. So I answer your question, Weagle?
Yeah, more or less. I would just say that the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves a destination. And that's just something that it really speaks to me throughout my recruitment process. Was just I was excited to play football at the next level, whatever that was, whatever that looked like. The majority of my offers came from Division II. Ball State was my only Division I FBS. I also got offered by Western, but it wasn't a lot of pickings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have been blessed to play football, Division III, Division II, whatever it was. You look at a guy like Sidney Houston, who played at McKendree University, who I laughed at when they called me. And he transferred here and ended up being first team All-MAC. So I would say to younger guys, just love the game because of what it's given you, the opportunity that it continues to give you, and just ride that out, because that's truly just your ultimate driver is just going to be how much you love the game, because you can love being D1, but when you have to wake up at 6:30 for those cold workouts and winter workouts, and coaches are screaming at you, motherfucking you, and this, that, and the third, you got to really love the game. And that's no matter what level you're at. So I just say love the game, and that'll take you where you want to go.
Yeah, I would attest to that too. I think Wiggle really hit it on the spot. Like, if you don't love it, then it's not for you. But at the same time, it's okay to be upset, to disagree with everything that's going on. And I think that's one of the best things about college in general, as an athlete or not. There was times where I sat in my dorm like upset my freshman year, like, man, maybe this ain't for me. Maybe I should go home. But I think that's the stuff in life that you get almost like an expedited process to as a college athlete. You learn how to deal with adversity. You learn how to work hard. You learn work ethic. You learn how to work with other people. And I think that's a part of college athletics that people don't understand until you get into it. And then you look at life as a whole. You go into the workforce. People love athletes. People love that resume that's on there, because that shows that you learned how to work hard. And just because you're going through something hard in life doesn't mean you can't get through it. And I think that's what athletics has taught me. I've had a lot of hardships. I've had a lot of ups and downs, and I've met a lot of great people coming here, but it's taught me so much about life. There's so many life lessons that football's taught me. And I think that goes for any athletics, any sport in college. So if it's something that somebody as a high schooler is like, man, maybe I should go, maybe I shouldn't, there's no harm in trying. There's no harm in attempting at getting your education paid for. There's no harm in going to meet new people, learn a new life, and have a different perspective.
Now, you said one really good thing about how you handle adversity. People, kids, athletes, if you don't handle adversity very well, and you break down, and you can't handle a situation, or you can't handle a way a coach is talking to you, or anything along that lines, what would you tell the kid that's learning how to handle adversity and not necessarily reacting to everything that they're told or being coached or being asked? What advice would you give them on responding well to adversity and hard coaching or a hard time? It could be anything, because how you handle that stuff is really, really going to dictate, quite frankly, if you ask me, if you make it or you don't.
Yeah, I think, God, man, there was a quote that I read not that long ago. Epictetus, it was like a Stoic quote. I can't remember. It was just basically about, you can't learn if you think you know everything. And I think when adversity strikes and when things get tough, a lot of people just think that they know everything. They let their ego take pride in themselves, and they don't just let things happen. I'm going to screw up. I've screwed up a lot in my life, and I've had a lot of really good mentors there to help me. But if I didn't accept the fact that I didn't know everything in life, then I would have never let that coach really teach me something. I'd never let that professor, I'd never let that mentor. So I think the biggest thing is, like, so many people get egotistic and think that they're too big to be spoken to in such a manner. And you just have to accept it. You need to accept that there are people out there that know more than you. Everybody's lived a different life. And the big part is just, swallowing your pride sometimes and just accepting that you're in a tough spot and you need help, and learning from others, because there's so many other people that have seen something similar to you that can offer advice.
That's awesome.
Well, there's adversity all the time, right? Have you guys ever grown more from a time when there wasn't adversity? Or you don't grow a lot when it's really easy, right? That's why I don't agree with people say, hey, it's win or learn. It's win and learn, or lose and learn. You should learn both times. As for adversity, at almost 49 years old, what I would say is this: beg for it. If you're going to grow quicker from adversity and not quick at all from having it easy, beg to have to strain under anything. That way your confidence is through the roof. Right? Ask for adversity in the weight room. Ask for adversity with having tough conversations. Are you good at advocating for yourself and have a conversation with your boss, which is your coach, right? How are you going to have a tough conversation? Like, I was a trader at a hedge fund. That is painful work. It's all adversity all the time, getting in and out of positions. And you're dealing with the portfolio manager. You get to have all those conversations all the time. When people's ego gets in the way, it's because they don't want to be rejected or look bad. Because if they look bad, then maybe that person won't like me or I won't be liked. And that's the big fear. That doesn't matter. I bet most of your friends in high school you probably don't even talk to anymore. Maybe some you do, but not much at all. And those people you're worried about in high school, they probably don't matter. You probably have some close relationships from college, but I'm sure true to form, in 10 years, you probably won't talk to all those folks, right? Same with the coaches. Beg for knowledge in all those areas. That way you can have a faster feedback loop. Look for adversity because that's where you're going to grow. All right, we'll finish up here. I really appreciate you guys spending so much time. It's our record length podcast, so whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But thank you for being so generous with your time and efforts and thoughts. So I'm going to call on you by name here, and it looks like Jack Beebe's off for a minute, so he's going to miss this piece. So, Cole, what do you listen to if you could listen to anything when you train? What kind of music do you listen to?
When I train?
Yeah.
Country music.
Training, country music by mess. Okay, Joey.
Country music.
What would you?
I would either have to go rap or 80s hard rock.
Gotcha. Clayton?
Some sort of old school rock of some sort.
Weagold, what would you listen to when you're training?
Rap, for sure.
Jack Beebe? Rap?
Yeah.
If you go on an adventure anywhere, where would it be, Jack Beebe?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably somewhere in Africa. Seems like a cool place to go. Somewhere in the jungle.
Wow.
So I can
Okay.
see some monkeys.
All right. Weagold, where would you go? Any adventure?
Switzerland.
What's that?
Switzerland.
Okay. Clayton?
If I had to choose.
Italy.
Joey?
I would love to go to Australia.
I've been there. Cole?
Like Chile, like South America.
Favorite sports movie, Cole?
Sports movie? Friday Night Lights, is that? Yeah, that's a movie.
Yep. Joey?
This has nothing to do with football, but I'd have to say Major League, the baseball movie.
That movie's fantastic. Go Tribe.
Yeah,
Clayton.
Tribe.
Yes.
40 took mine, so I would have to say Miracle on Ice. That movie rocks.
That's going.
Oh, that's a good
Weagold.
one.
Remember the Titans.
Jack Beebe.
I would say Major League as well, Joe. That movie. We just watched it for the first time a few weeks ago. That movie rocked.
Dang. I made Sam watch that with me. Favorite athlete to watch? Jack Beebe.
Big. I would say Ray Lewis.
Weagle.
Mike Trout.
Okay. Clayton.
I grew up a Notre Dame fan, so Jalen Smith.
Joey.
I'd have to say Devin White for the Bucks.
Okay. Cole.
Brooks Koepka.
The golfer. My man. This next one's be hard for Joey. Cole, favorite book?
Oh, favorite book. The Slight Edge.
Who wrote that?
I think Jeff Olson.
Slight Edge. Okay, Joey.
The Slight Edge, yeah.
I can't really answer that question. I'm not a big reader.
You go with like a comic book if that helps.
Joey.
Lone Survivor.
Oh, good. You can read. Attaboy. Clayton, favorite book?
Meditations, Marcus Aurelius.
Okay, it's been real popular, right? Weagled.
The Bible.
Attaboy.
Come on, Weagle.
That was a good one, Weeks.
That was mine.
Jack Beebe.
That was mine.
You can go with the Bible. It's okay.
What's Tim Grover's? Good to Great Unstoppable. It's a good book.
Relentless or Winning are two of his books.
Yeah. I also recommend the Bible.
Good one, right?
Good one.
Favorite superhero, Jack?
Beebe?
Beebe.
Spider-Man.
Weagled.
Batman.
Clayton,
Iron Man.
Joey, Deadpool.
Captain America. Deadpool.
Hulk.
Cole,
No.
Hulk.
Hulk smash. Favorite
Hulk
villain,
smash.
Ooh.
I got no clue. I don't
Favorite-
even know villains. I'm not even good with all that Marvel stuff. Like, what's a villain?
Cole. Thanos,
Uh,
Vader,
Like
Hannibal
is
Lecter, Joker.
Is Joker? Okay,
Yeah.
Joker, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, Joker.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. He rocks.
Joey,
Yeah.
Thanos. They got
All right.
rocks. That guy-
Clayton,
You said it. Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker.
I like him. Weagold,
Yeah, I'd have to say the Joker. I have to agree with Cole.
Jack,
I would say Darth Vader. Yeah, that guy's pretty sweet.
favorite lift. If you had to pick one, Jack, to do.
Favorite lift?
Yeah,
The back squat.
Weagold,
Front squat.
Clayton,
Cleans.
Joey,
Trap bar deadlift.
that boy.
Oh.
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups. Mine is Atlas stones. Favorite. If you had $10 million, what would you do with it, Cole?
I'd buy a lot of cabins out west and invite all my friends and family there and probably live there for a while. Have our own
Perfect.
cows and
Well-
chickens and literally live off the land out there with a bunch of huge cabins. Probably in like Wyoming.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Nice.
cabins. Yep. Joey, 10 million. Go to
Definitely
Vegas.
somewhere. No. definitely go somewhere in like the Caribbean. Buy a nice beach house.
Local
Caribbean.
strip bar in Muncie. Clayton, 10 million bucks. Still going to medical school?
I don't know about that.
Right.
Probably. Invest, blow a bunch of it. I'm going to
Yeah.
build a sick home gym, I can tell you that.
Right. Wiggle, 10 million bucks.
Retire my parents, invest a little bit, save probably around $100,000 to put towards my Clash of Clans account.
Wow.
Yes.
100,000.
Yes.
How's not everything get maxed out then?
Layers based.
You're
Larry's
gonna be
pretty good,
gymming a
man.
lot.
You should get him on your team.
Shameless
Jack, you had
plug
10
for,
million. What would you do?
Trench guys. I would
Ooh.
say the same thing we did, retire my parents and invested a lot. Well, yeah, I'd say
Gotcha.
those two are probably top priority.
Favorite quote, Jack? BB.
James 1:1. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, for it creates perseverance in the Lord. That's my
1 James.
That's a
Yep,
quote.
that's mine.
yeah.
Yep. Wiggled.
Romans 8:18. For I'm convinced that the sufferings of now cannot be compared with the joy that is about to come.
Get
Okay,
it.
we.
Clayton.
Oof.
So Marcus Aurelius going to drop on us?
No, I mean, some of his stuff is good. I would probably have to say, I don't even know who this is from. It's something amongst the lines of, I'm willing to do today what you aren't, so I can do tomorrow what you can't.
Yeah, that's a Navy SEAL mantra amongst others. Today I'll do what you won't, so tomorrow I'll do what you can't. Friend Mark Devine's SEAL, Way of the SEAL. Excellent book for habits. Joey, favorite quote?
British Special Forces, who dares wins.
Gotcha. So, fortune favors the bold. It's also tattooed on John Wick's back, and it's stenciled in my office. The Latin phrase that's on his back in the gym. Cole,
I got no famous
Yabba
quote.
dabba-
I'm not good at
Yabba dabba do.
memorizing verses and stuff. I have no clue.
All right, last question. This isn't a typical question because I haven't asked it any other guests, and it'll be hard for Jack Beebe because for the last 2.5 years he has had the same answer, and he already got the gift. So, Cole, what's one thing that you would like for Christmas this year?
I don't know. I have nothing in particular I want. I don't have an answer.
That's terrible. All right, Joey.
Well,
I have to say, a trip up to Unbreakable and get that lift in. That's
Let's go.
that'd be my,
Let's
that'd be my
go.
Christmas gift.
Let's go.
Plugged.
We got tons of protein and IV bags for you too, so you'll be fine. Yes, sir. Clayton, what's a Christmas gift that you like to have underneath the tree?
The only thing I've like formally asked for was this book. It's a champion's comeback. I've read there was a mindset one that he wrote. I can't remember the author's name, but that's the only thing I've formally asked for. But it sounds like I want to tag along with Joey.
Oh,
Anytime. How about Weagold?
I'll probably send some basketball shoes.
Okay.
Be hooping a lot at the rec this winter.
That's fun.
Some basketball
Perfect.
shoes would be cool.
Yeah.
Jack Beebe, what have you been asking for Christmas and your birthday the last couple of years?
Scholarship.
That's right. Every year.
Ooh.
hey.
Jack, what do you want?
Got it.
Hey,
And he's like, I just want a scholarship.
Yours truly, Cole
Right.
Pierce. He's the one that gave it to me. He likes to say that. So, yeah.
So what's one thing you want for Christmas, Jack?
New dresser for my clothes.
Nope.
Ooh.
Nope.
I asked her for it today. She said, "Send me the
You get
link."
protein in that.
So,
Right. Lucas, you?
we got Joey.
Me? I've had the same pair of weightlifters for like 6 years. I'd like to
Shoes?
get a new pair. Yeah, get a new pair of like Olympic weightlifting shoes and some gas money.
Attaboy.
Honestly,
Yeah,
Good answer.
I like it. All right. You guys got anything else for me? I'll let you guys go. We're right at 2 hours. You guys are very generous, man. Thanks so much. You guys good?
all
Okay,
good. Yeah.
thanks, Jim.
Great. Thank you.
all right,
you,
guys,
guys.
appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Thanks,
course.
you guys.